I still remember the way his voice cut through the busy airport terminal like a knife. The noise of rolling suitcases and announcements faded into the background the moment my brother Garrett looked at me with that familiar smirk. "Economy," he said, holding out my boarding pass with 2 fingers like it was something dirty. "Don't complain. This is all you can handle." We were at the airport, heading to Hawaii for what was supposed to be a family celebration. Our parents' 40th wedding anniversary. Garrett had arranged everything, or so he claimed. He stood there in his expensive polo shirt, waving 2 shiny first-class tickets for himself and our parents like trophies. My boarding pass? A crumpled economy ticket for the back of the plane. I felt my cheeks burn as a few travelers nearby glanced over. My mother looked away awkwardly. My father cleared his throat but said nothing. Garrett laughed loudly, turning to the gate agent. "She'll be fine back there. My sister has always been simple. Right, sis?" I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me. My name is Rachel. For years I had lived quietly, letting my family believe I was just the average one, the sister who never quite measured up. I worked hard, traveled often for my job, but I kept my life private. I never bragged, I never explained. And Garrett loved reminding everyone that I was the one who settled. That day, standing in the bright lights of the terminal, holding that economy ticket, I felt so small, so broken. My own brother had just exposed me in front of strangers, reducing me to someone who couldn't handle anything better. The humiliation settled deep in my chest like a heavy stone. But what I didn't know that day was that the truth was about to surface in the most unexpected way. And when it did, it would leave everyone stunned. The flight was long, but the real pain wasn't in the cramped economy seat. It was in the way Garrett kept sending photos from first class, him and our parents smiling with champagne glasses, tagging me in none of them. Every notification felt like another little stab. I had always been the responsible one. While Garrett chased flashy careers and big promises, I built something real in silence. After college, I joined a specialized government agency. My work involved high-level logistics, security coordination, and international travel most people only dream about. But I never talked about it at family dinners. I didn't want the attention. I didn't want the questions. Garrett, on the other hand, loved the spotlight. He worked in corporate sales and constantly positioned himself as the successful sibling. He paid for the first-class upgrades for our parents, making sure everyone knew it was his generosity. And me? I was told to be grateful for economy because that's what I could handle. During the flight, the cabin crew moved gracefully through the aisles. One senior flight attendant, a kind woman named Maria, noticed how quiet I was. She offered me an extra blanket with a gentle smile. "Long day?" she asked softly. I nodded, fighting back the tears that threatened to fall. When we landed in Hawaii, the betrayal hit even harder. At baggage claim, Garrett was still joking. "See? You survived economy. Maybe next time you'll aim a little higher, huh?" Our parents chuckled nervously. I stood there, suitcase in hand, feeling completely shattered. The brother who was supposed to protect me had instead chosen to humiliate me, publicly, repeatedly, and without remorse. Nights after we arrived, I couldn't sleep. I walked along the beach alone, the waves crashing softly, wondering why my own family saw so little in me. The pain ran deep. I questioned my worth. I questioned my silence. Had I hidden my life for too long? Had my quiet strength made me invisible? But slowly, something inside me began to shift. The heartbreak didn't disappear, but it started fueling a quiet resolve. I was tired of being diminished. I was tired of smiling through the disrespect. Strength was growing in the silence, the same silence that had protected my real world for years, until everything changed on the return flight home. The return flight was delayed slightly, and the airport lounge buzzed with tired passengers. We were waiting at the priority boarding area when I quietly stepped up to the counter and placed my ID and boarding pass on the scanner. The gate agent's eyes widened. She looked at her screen, then back at me, then at her supervisor. Within seconds, 2 senior airline staff members appeared. Not regular gate agents, but airline executives who had been alerted. Garrett was still laughing with our father, boasting about how smoothly the trip had gone thanks to his planning. That's when the head of airport operations, a composed woman in a sharp suit, walked straight toward our group. "Ms. Rachel Thompson," she said clearly, her voice carrying. "On behalf of the airline and our partners, it is an honor to have you with us today." The entire area went quiet. She continued, "We were not aware of your status when the seating was arranged. As Director of International Security Coordination for the agency, your service and frequent high-level travel deserve the highest recognition. We've upgraded you to our private suite for the return flight, and we apologize deeply for any discomfort caused." Garrett's smirk froze on his face. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. My father looked completely lost. The staff moved quickly and respectfully. They escorted me forward while the executives personally ensured my comfort. One of them turned to Garrett and said calmly, "Sir, we understand there was some confusion with the original arrangements. Perhaps next time, it's best not to assume what others can or cannot handle." Garrett stood there, his face turning pale as the reality sank in. The brother who had loudly declared I could only manage economy was now watching airline leadership treat me with utmost respect. His loud jokes from days earlier echoed back to him in the most humiliating way possible. Our parents finally saw the truth. The daughter they thought was simple had been living a life of quiet importance and sacrifice. He tried to speak, but no words came out. For the first time, Garrett looked truly exposed and small. On that flight home, sitting in comfort I hadn't asked for, I felt a profound sense of peace wash over me. I didn't need to shout or seek revenge with anger. The truth itself had spoken louder than any words I could have said. If there's one thing this experience taught me, it's this. Never let anyone define your worth based on what they see on the surface. Your silence isn't weakness, and sometimes it's the greatest strength. The people who truly matter will eventually witness your value, and those who mocked you will be left with nothing but their own regret. I no longer hide who I am, and I carry myself with quiet dignity, knowing that the ones who underestimate you today may be the most stunned tomorrow. The waves of Hawaii are behind me now, but the lesson remains. Real power doesn't need to announce itself. It simply waits for the right moment to be revealed.